Evening class. In this lecture video, we will be talking about function. So we are formally done with the topic loop, with the topic loops, no? Katong mga for loop, while loop, do while loop, and also we are done with the switch statement. So I hope na may nasabtan ato nga mga topics and I'm very sorry na na-delay ni nga lecture video. It's because of some technical issues, no? And this lecture video again is all about functions. And I hope na may ma-learn ani nga lecture video. And I'm very sorry di na ta mo ma-meet during our allotted time in the morning. Okay, so I hope na masabtan ra sa lecture video. And if you have any questions, please pangutana lang gid mo. Okay? Okay, so wala na ako na-edit, no? Okay, so wala na ako na-edit ang overview. So dili lang sa ta mag-overview because functions is like kanang a topic in itself, no? Murag wala kay siya subtopics. Anyways, so a function is a self-contained block of statement that perform a coherent task of some kind. So, say pasabot ani. It is a self-contained block. So you have uh say for example um you have something kanishan you have a box here, no, or a machine. So this machine does a specific task. So its task, for example, is outputs whatever ang iyahang input, no? Ang iyahang i-output is ihimo niyang color yellow. For example lang. So, tanan nimong butang dira i-input, say for example na kay you have your cell phone, no? Pag ibutang mo siya ani nga box or ani nga machine, himuon na niya yellow. So this box is analogous to a function, no? Na siya'y specific na task or a task of coherent type. Ano anang mura gyud ang iyahang trabahoon, mura gyud ang iyahang task. It is a self-contained block because pwede ninyo siya magamit anytime. Na siya'y murag sudlanan kumbaga. Siya'y sudlanan sa unsa to nga task ang imong ipabuhat sa iya. So for example, naamoy task wherein mag-require nga tanan cellphone should be turned into yellow. Okay? So, siguro, naapamoy isa ka box diri or machine, no, nga mo produce og cellphone. Tapos, isulod dayon niya dira para mahimo siya yellow. So, as you can see here, no, ang mga function, pwede ninyo magamit anytime, no, basta kana ilang task. Pwede ninyo siya ma-move, like for example, tanan yellow, inyuhang i-display. So, another box na po dira for display. So, tanan yellow nga cellphone, iyang i-display. Na. So, for example, kanina pong box, pag after display, yan na pong i-convert into another yellow na pod, kumbaga. So, kaning lugar ang iyahang i-display, ang i-display should be in yellow. So, ibalik na po niya diha. So, murag, as you can see, a function is a code, no, in your program that you can call anytime and has a specific task. Specific task. Nagid siya kana nga trabaho. And it is sometimes important to make a function that is kapila ninyo siya gamiton. For example, na part sa inyong code na sige og add og number. So, inyo na lang na siyang i-function so that kato na lang function na ninyo ang tawagon. Okay? Okay, to make this much clearer, here is an example of a function. no? Diri ta sa code magtan-aw. So start ta sa includes TDIO and then this. So notice unsa may bag-o ani nga code. Unsay bag-o. Unsay nadungag sa code na so far ninyo nahibalaan. Karon na ninyo siya nakita. So katong mga familiar na daan sa functions katong nag-advanced study, I know nga naiuban sa inyo nga nag-advanced study, kabalo na mo unsa ni, unsay pasabot ani, unsa ni, unsa na. Pero sa katong wala, you might be wondering, no? Unsa ni sila, unsa ning mga nadungag. But before I explain unsa ning nadungag, let us see kung unsa iyahang output. Okay? So the output for this program is this one. Smile and the world smiles with you. Cry and you stop the monotony. Okay, so mo daw na ang iyang output. So why? Nganong kana man ang iyang na output? Okay, let us explain the code line by line, or let us explain the code unsa let me explain unsa tong mga nadungag sa code. Okay. So as you can see, no, naay tulo ka tulo ka as you can see here, na nga, naay tulo ka message inyong nakita nga naka-open close parenthesis. So, unsa man ni? What are the indications para asa man ni? Okay. So, first let us explain sa pinakauna nga message. Kani siya. So, this here, before mo enter sa formal code, no? Before usually na gini siya sa gawas sa main. No? Before ka musugod sa main. Pwede sad siya after sa main, but it is much more readable, no, if ang tawag niya ani is function prototype declaration. So this prototype is usually found before you start your main. Okay, before you start your code, gyud agi ni siya sa babaw after sa include. Okay, what is this? Unsa para asa ni si prototype? So it indicates that the message is a function which after completing its execution does not return a value. Nganong asa man na siya kakuha na does not return a value. Okay, I will explain this. Kani siya, inyong siyang i-compare as something nga murag kanang heads up bitaw or information para sa compiler, para sa C, nga na kay makit-an nga function na message ang pangalan. Okay? Because anay ubang compiler tool nga does not need any prototype. But a classic C, no, needs a prototype. Prototype is somewhat an information given to your compiler nga naay nag-exist na function sa inyong program. Okay? So, before siya mag-start sa main, naa na idea, kung malabyan ni niya, na idea yung compiler, uy, maggamit ni nga source code o message na function. And this function exists diri ra pod sa source code. Okay? Now, unsay nakahatag o clue sa ato ang compiler nga wala ni siya i-return. Ang nakahatag niya og clue is kani. Okay? So, kung musuwat ko dirig void, no, moingon mo inform ni siya sa compiler nga kani nga function walay i-return or does not have any value. Okay? I will explain sa further discussion sa function nga ang function pwede maka-return or pwede na ay corresponding value. But since I will explain that later. Pero sa karon, keep in mind na pag mag-void ka, no? Before na siya sa inyong ngalan sa inyong function, okay? Before sa ngalan sa function, if mag-void ka, meaning this function does not contain any value whatsoever. Okay? Does not return any value, does not represent a value. Okay. Now, the open close parenthesis here indicates that this is a function and the semicolon ends this line here. Okay? The name of your function should be the same no sa rule sa katong naming sa variable. So, unsa to mga rules sa pag-name sa variable? There should be no spaces, special characters that are in the beginning, the end. There should be no dot, no? So, i-review to ninyo tong valid nga variable names. Mo to pud ma-apply sa valid function names. Okay? So, again, this is a prototype. So, this indicates, this informs your compiler that you have a function within your code that you will be using. Okay. Now, what happens if you do not add a prototype? So, what happens is, if compiler, miskin na naamoy function somewhere in your code, no? If wala siya prototype, di na niya makita. So, nga na. The second message is what you call the function call. So, function call meaning, gitawag niya ang function. Okay? So, after the prototype or after the declaration of your prototype, nisunod naman ta sa main. So, pinakauna nga line sa main is the function call. Sa kaning nga code, okay? So, sa kaning nga code, giunan niyang tawag ang ato ang function. Now, what happened is that gitawag niya ang function, bali gipasa niya, giadto niya dadto ang compiler. So, dito sa ka sa message nga function, compiler, ay sa pagtiwas diri unsay na sa akong ubos. Sulod sa ka dadto sa function. Muna iyang pasabot. Now, what happens if kitawag din mo tapos wala si prototype? Again, dili ni niya makita mo error ni line. Okay? So, since na-prototype man, si compiler na-inform, uy, nanawag na siya message. Murag na amang ko'y nakitaan ka ganinang prototype sa message. So, naagi na diri nga code. So, yan ang pangitaon. But, if for example, walay prototype, no, moingon na siya dahil, wala na nag-exist. Even though inyo siyang gisuwat after, no, na siya sa inyong source code, since wala man siya prototype, mo assume na siya nga, wala na siya nag-exist na function. But anyways, since nag-prototype man ta nga code, so gitawag ni niya, nakita na siya sa compiler. And then, right after that, dili na dayon ta sa function definition. Okay? Dili na dayon ta sa function definition wherein the details of the function is coded or written. So, diri muna ni ang content sa atong function. Muna ni bali ang sulod sa atong box or sulod sa atong machine that contains a specific task. Okay, it is a block of code. As you can see here, it is enclosed with an open close parenthesis. It is outside the main. Okay? So, main is also a function. Muna akong giingon sa inyo itong bago pa ta nag-discuss og coding no sa C. Main is a function. It is a function that is defined by C. Okay? Now, kung your C code always have a function, a minimum of one function, and that is a main. Okay? So here, nag-define man tagline nga function, so this should be outside your main nga function. Okay? Di siya pwede sa sulod, kay function man si main. So, anong magbutang mo function sa sulod? Di na siya ma-function, kaya naman siya sa sulod, sa main. So, your function definition or another function should be outside of your main. Here, pinakauna, mura siya og katong int main, di ba? Diri parehara siya. So, your data type or the type of this is the type of your function. So, there are many types of function. There can be an int, a float. I will explain that later. But since ang ato ang code here is void man siya, meaning wala siya value, wala siya contain a value or whatsoever. So, void atong gibutang. Note that kung unsa inyong gi-prototype mo pa dapat ang nadiri So, unsa inyong gi-prototype nga type sa function, since gi-prototype man nato siya as void, your function should also be void. Here. Okay? Now, the name of your function, which is message, at example, then open close parenthesis. As you can see, wala na ta nagbutang og semicolon because this is not the end of a statement. This is the beginning of a block. So, mag-open ta diri og parenthesis. Okay, inside the block, no, dapat na diri ang content sa inyong function, iyang specific task. In this example, No, ang iyang specific task sa message is just to print smile and the world smiles with you. Mura na ang specific function sa message. So, when this is run, no, kung ipadagan na siya, first, musulod ang compiler diri, ay first diri no, ang siya nga, nay prototype na function, nay message na function. Then, here, inyo siyang gitawag. So, the compiler will go here, no? Iyan na dayon ni siyang ipadagan whatever is inside sa inyong function, iyahan ni siyang i-execute. So, since ang sulod is printf man, so mo ni iyahang na execute. Smile and the world smiles with you. Now, as you can see, wala na sumpay, wala na sunod, mura to ang sulod sa block, and then nag-close parenthesis na siya, meaning it is the end of the block na. Now, once the end of the block is encountered, mabalik na siya sa katong kung aha magani siya gitawag after atong line. Okay? So, diri tawag siya, and then nahuman na mo, balik siya sa katong after sa katong function call. Unsa magani itong line iya hatong execute. So, since ang after sa function call is kani man printf here, so muna po din niya i-execute. Cry and you stop the monotony, which is this one here. Now, this is printed, and so the code is ended na dayon. Kaya ni-return 0 naman siya. Okay? Okay. Okay, so here is another example. It's another example. It is also an example about function. So let us try to analyze the code. Unsay nahitabo ani? Unsay nahitabo sa program? So as you can see here, na ay tulo ka prototype. No? Si prototype function, si Italy, si Brazil, and si Argentina. Okay, so this is a prototype of the three function, meaning na ay kaning nga mga function exist somewhere in the code. Okay, and all of them is void. So pasabot, they don't return any value, they don't have association of certain kind of number or value. So muna siya. So prototype meaning gi-inform na nila karon ang compiler. Now, let's proceed sa to ang main. Now, here, giprintf tiya, I am in main. So, mo ni siya mo print, di ba? So, dapat ato ang output, no? Kung atong tanawon, o unsay ang possible na output, mo print siya og I am in main. Okay? Now, next line is that Italy. Itawag niya si Italy nga function. So, as you can see, since itawag man niya si Italy nga function, mo adto si compiler na to diha sa Italy. And then, tanawon niya ang content. And as you can see here, igipa-print niya ni nga line. So, ma-print ni siya. I am in Italy. Okay, so, man naman ang function, balik siya sa katong line after sa katong function, which is si Brazil. Now, tawag na po yung function. So, this again will go to the Brazil nga function here. Okay? So, yan na po nang ipa-print. I am in Brazil. Okay? So, once this is printed, ibalik na po niya man naman. So, balik na po siya sa line after kang Brazil, which is si Argentina. So, again, Argentina here is a function call. So, tawagon na po na niya ng function na si Argentina. So, modo na po siya kang Argentina. Here, and then yan na po nang i-print. So, I am in Argentina dayon ang print. Afterwards, this is done and over with, mabalik na po siya sa main. And since it is already returned 0, pag mabalik siya sa main, meaning the main is now an exit na. So, humana na itong code. Now, let's check if sakto ba niya nga to ang probable output. So, this is the output. So, una, I am in main, I am in Italy, I am in Brazil, and then I am in Argentina. Okay, so our probable output is correct. So in this case, we can conclude na a function or a code can have as many function as possible. Pwede daghan siya function. No? And your main can call as many function as it wants or as it you dictate. No? And pwede sila sunod-sunuron pagtawag. No problem with that. So here are the important notes that you should remember. A C program is a collection of one or more functions. So basically, you now realize na ang seeing a program, wala siya laing content other than a function. No? And also information to tell the compiler about details of your code such as kaning includes DDIO and then the prototype, but most content sa inyong C program are all functions. Okay? If a C program contains only one function, then it must be a main. So, meaning, a C program should always have at least one function, and that should be your main. Okay? There's no limit on the number of functions that might be present in your C program. So, wala siya, miskin pila sa kadaghaning na function na inyong ibutang di sa inyong code. Each function in a program is called in a sequence specified by the function calls in main. Okay, so nagdepende kang main, no? Kaysa iya man mag-start, nagdepende kang main ang sequence sa inyong function call. So kung sa itong pinakauna matawag nga function or malabyan sa inyong compiler, mo to ang una matawag. Okay. After each function has done its thing, control returns to main. When main runs out of statement and function calls, the program ends. So, manaday na siya. Mahumana dayon. Okay, so dapat ang inyong function mauli gid sa main para muundang ang code. No, mobalik gid na siya sa main. Okay, so here is another example. This one here. Now, unsay kalainan ani sa before nato gi-present na example. The difference in this is that a function contains a function call. Okay? So, this is actually very possible. Pwede man mo tawag ang inyong function og another function. Diba? Sa katong example na ko sa sugod, katong box nga mo transform into a yellow. Wait lang ha. Asa man to? Di na ako makita. Kani. So, as you can see here, katong box mo transform sa yellow. And then, ang kaninga box, nibalik na po siya diri. So, pasabot, this function can call a function and this function can call a function. So, basically, a function can call another function. Asa man ta ato? Okay, so a function can call another function. So since main is a function, main can call another function. And since Italy is a function similar kang main, of course, Italy can call another function. But the difference between the defined function katong inyong gi-defined ug kang main is that si main mo'y nailhan ni compiler o mo yung una tawagon. Okay? So, here, nag-prototype tag Italy, Brazil, and Argentina. And then, ato ni siyang gipadagan. Now, what happened when we execute this? So, here, ni-print siya og I am in main. So, mo-print ni siya, I am in main. Then, gitawag na to si Italy. Here, iyang gitanaw ang content ni Italy and then iyang giprint pinakauna nga line sa content ni Italy is that gipa-print niya og I am in Italy. Now the next line is Brazil. So this function Italy called another function which is Brazil. Now, you don't need to add prototype before the Italy here. Kaya na may prototype diri tanan. So, basically, kaning tanan diri holds information available to all functions. Okay? So, kani si Brazil, laila na niya kay sa compiler kay nag prototype naman mo dira. So, here in Brazil, tawag niya. So, si Brazil karon adto sa function na Brazil. And then, we'll print I am in Brazil. Okay, mo print ba siya because mo may pinakauna nga line diri inside ka Brazil. Now, the next line here is Argentina. So, nanawag si Brazil kang function Argentina. So, what will happen? Of course, moadto ni atong compiler diri kang Argentina. And then, i-print din niya, I am in Argentina. Now, this is printed, this is done, this is executed. Mobalik na dahil ni siya sa kung kinsa to'y nanawag niya. Kinsa may nanawag niya. Kinsay nanawag niya. So, ang nanawag niya is si Brazil. So, mabalik siya kang kaninga line. And since wala na may sunod, di ba? Wala na may line after this one. Close bracket naman, close curly braces, mobalik na pud ni siya sa kung kinsa to'y nanawag niya. So, kinsa may nanawag kang Brazil? Si Italy, di ba? So, mabalik ni siya diri kang Italy. Okay, so the line after sa katawag ni Brazil is kaning printf, I'm back in Italy. So, mo-print ni siya diri, I am back in Italy. So, once this is printed, human naman dayon, di ba? Wala na may line to execute. Nag-close bracket naman, close curly brace naman. So, this will return here. So, after sa function call, and will print this one. Okay, so I am back in main. So, once it's printed, i-return na din niya sa 0 and your code is now ended or terminated. So, muna siya atong probable na output. I am in main, I am in Italy, I am in Brazil, I am in Argentina, I'm back in Italy, and I'm back in main. So, tanaw na to, umuba na siyang output. And yes, I'm back in Italy and I'm back in main. So, our assumption is correct. So, sakto, sa ato pa, mo gidangdagan sa ato ang compiler. Okay? So, uh, that is for this example. So, keep that in mind. So, these are the important notes that you should remember given sa kato example kaganina. A function gets called when the function name is followed by a semicolon. Okay, so this is a way in calling your function. If, for example, wala na siya semicolon or in that kaning this is not part of your statement, no, di gina siya matawag. A function is defined when a function name is followed by a pair of braces. So, dapat na agin mo i-block, no, curly braces. Magiging kanigid ang content sa inyong function inside sa iyahang block. Okay. Any function can be called from any other function. Even main can be called from other function. So, as you can see, pwede din nato tawagon si main. Because main is a function itself. So, main can be called sa lain nga function. But I advise you to not do this, no? Para dili po mo maglibog because basically, as a default, muuli man gid na sa main ang function. Okay? Unless for special cases na dapat i-force ninyo siya balik sa main. But in this case, no need because mabalik man gyud ang function sa main. But this is just an information para di mo matagaw that this will not cause an error at all. Okay. Another important note is that the function can be called any number of times. So, pwede ninyo balik-balik ko ng tawag ang function. This is the advantage of using functions because instead of writing printf, G will if two times, pwede ninyo tawagon si message na lang or the function that holds this block of code two times. So, in this example, di ra kaninyo makita na importance because isa ramang ka-line gyapon ang sulod sa function. But what if your function contains, for example, 10, 20, or even more than 50 lines of code? So, and then that function is done repeatedly. So, instead of writing 50 lines of code two times here or one or more times here, no? Kato na lang function na nga to ang tawagon. So, that is one of the advantage sa function. Mas dali siya gamiton kas ara ninyo masulat ang code. Okay. The order in which the function are defined in the program and the order in which they called need not necessarily be the same. So, pwede magbali-bali, okay? So, basig nakaingon mo nga giuna magtawag si Italy diri, so dapat una pud siya diri, no? Dili. So, pwede siya any order that you want. So, una lugar ninyo nasuwat si message to, pero ulahin ninyo siya natawag sa main. That is acceptable. Now, but this is not a good programming practice. So, dapat siguro mas maayo if unsay una tawagon diri amo po una makitaan diri. This is because para dali ra siya makitaan sa katong nagbasa sa code. Okay? So, muna siya. Next is a function can call itself. Such process is called recursion. I'm not gonna be introducing this kind of code. No, this will be introduced on ITE 13, I think. So the next course after this. So kanisi recursion is a function that calls itself. Again, a function can call another function. So there is no exception for a function to call itself because itself is a function. Diba? When you say that you can call yourself, a person can call another person. So of course, since ikaw, you're a person yourself, you can call yourself. So muna siya si function. Now the this process is a little bit complicated, kani si recursion na process, but this is actually useful in some important algorithms. Okay, especially kamo mga computer scientist. So you should be aware of what recursion is, its capabilities. So it will be explained sa sunod na ninyong course after ani. If you want to stick no sa kaning course, kaninga inyong course ron. Okay, a function can be called from another function, but a function cannot be defined in another function. Muna siya kung gingon sa inyo, a function cannot be defined inside a function, okay? Pwede ang function mo call sa iyang self, and pwede ang function mo call sa another function, but a function cannot contain another function. Okay, there are two types of function, the library function and the user-defined. Library function, puna siya kung giingon sa inyo, kaning mga functions are the type of functions nga nanadaan sa compiler. Inyo na lang siyang tawagon. So, si printf, si scanf, kani siya. Katong header file, okay? Katong header file nga stdio.h, ang content ani niya are list of functions. Functions ni tanan. Now, inside the functions, inside this tdio.h are the function katong printf, scanf, gets, and whatsoever. Nana siya diri sa tdio.h. That is the reason why inyo siyang tawagon sa inyong C code. So that makabalong inyong compiler nga naamoy function gikuha sa header file. Now, katong mga function that are in the header file, they are called the library function, meaning they're already defined. You do not have to code them yourself. And yun na lang siyang tawagon. Okay? So, these are the library functions. Example of that is a printf, is a scanf, dagan pa na sila actually. And then we have the user-defined, katong na tong inyong gi-define, katong Italy, kaganina, katong Brazil, that is your that is your function. Kamo may nagsulat ana. So these are the two type of function, the library and the user-defined. Okay? So there are times nga paggamiton ta mag library functions, and there are times that you should code them yourself. Okay. Here is an Example, write a code that calculates the sum of three numbers using a function. Okay, so we are already done with the introduction of the function. So I think you already know its basics ug unsa iyahang kaning unsa iyahang behavior, no? And so far, ang functions na akong gi-introduce sa inyo are those type of functions that does not contain any value or associate themselves with a value. They are these functions that are of type void, no? Now, in this topic that I will discuss is a function na pwede siya maka-return og value and na siya association sa isa ka value. And because this lecture video is already running around 35 minutes, I will cut this here. So the video will end here. And in in the next lecture video, I'll be discussing this type of function. Okay, so any further question is very welcome. Just DM me, contact me through Messenger. Yeah, you can ask me any question. Do not hesitate kung feeling ninyo medyo stupid, pamatiin ninyo medyo maulaw mo, don't ay mo pagkaulaw because I understand nga mga baguhan pa mo ani nga topic. Okay, so that is all for this lecture video. I hope that you learned something and thank you for listening.